So today we will be learning how to prepare the income and expenditure account and balance sheet. See, we have learned this chapter in various parts. The first part was that we have learned fund-based accounting, how to add the donations received in that fund, how to add the incomes received in that fund, how to record the expenses of that fund. That all we have learned. Then second part we have learned how to make adjustments for subscriptions. Subscription is one of the major source of income, but you may get the same adjustments for other incomes also. So whatever the rules you are applying for the subscription, like outstanding subscription for the last year, outstanding subscription for the current year, the same rules will apply to the adjustments for other incomes also in the same manner. Then we have learned how to calculate the cost of goods consumed, like stationery, medicines, sports material. Many items are consumed in the not-for-profit organizations according to the nature of that organization. So these three major parts we have learned how to make the adjustments, how to adjust the cost. And now rest of the part is simple, like last year you were preparing profit and loss account and balance sheet with the help of trial balance. Same here you will be preparing income and expenditure account and balance sheet on the basis of the receipt and payment account given in the question along with the additional information. Now, what are the steps to be followed when you are solving a complete question for preparation of income and expenditure account and balance sheet? The first part is that you will calculate the opening capital fund. Now, how I will be calculating the opening capital fund? For that, I will prepare a opening balance sheet, that is balance sheet as on the first day of the accounting year. And in that balance sheet, you will be writing the opening balances of various assets and liabilities. So, if I give you examples, what can be there in the opening balance sheet? First thing, opening balance of cash and bank. It can be there. From where you will get it? You will get it from receipt and payment account. Receipt and payments account. That you will get there. Then second thing which you can get in the questions is the outstanding subscription of last year. That will be the opening balance sheet. Then you may get some advance subscription last year. Advance subscription received last year. Then along with that you can get various assets existing last year. Question will tell you which assets you were having last year also and what was the value last year. So such various balances you will get in the question regarding the opening balance sheet. You may also get opening stock of consumable items that will be written in opening balance sheet. You may also get opening balance of creditors for the consumable items. You may get opening balance of advance paid to creditors, like we have done one question yesterday also for that. Then so such informations will be available to you. Various assets and liabilities information will be available to you. You may get the opening balance of funds also. Opening balance of specific funds that you all get in the question. So such balances will be written in the opening balance sheet and you will find out the difference assets minus liabilities and the difference will be the opening capital fund. I hope this point is clear. First step is clear. Now coming to the next step. Next step is that you have to determine what are the incomes in the resident payment account. And the incomes will be available to you on the receipt side. Obviously, whatever you are receiving, that will be your income. So revenue receipts will be written in the income side of the income and expenditure account. So obviously you know that there are two types of receipts, revenue receipts and capital receipts. So revenue receipts will be written in the income side of the income and expenditure account. Like example are given like subscription, rent and interest. These may be your incomes. You are receiving rent, you are receiving interest, you are receiving subscription. These all may become your incomes and they may have adjustments also. So even if you are having any subscription income or rent income or interest income, so if they have any adjustment, the same set of rules which you have applied for subscription, the same set of rules will be applied and you will calculate the current year income. What is the current year income amount? That current year income amount will be written in the balance sheet. Income and expenditure account. So you will write that current year income in the income and expenditure account. And remember, like profit and loss account, we will always write the current income of the current year in the income and expenditure. Whether we have received that income or not, that is not the matter, because income and expenditure account is prepared on accrual basis, whereas this one receipt and payment account is prepared on cash basis. Fine. Now capital receipts, like for example membership fees, life membership fees, specific donations will be written on the liability side of the balance sheet. So if you have received any specific donation, that will go to the liability side of balance sheet. If you have received this one life membership fees, that will be added to the capital fund. So in this manner you will be classifying the receipts in the revenue receipts and capital receipts. So I have given you a lot of examples also what are revenue receipts and what are capital receipts. Now coming to the third step, that is you have to determine the expenses. Again, the expenses will also be classified into revenue expenses and capital nature expenses. So all the revenue expenditures will be written in the expenditure side of the income and expenditure account. And some of the expenses may have adjustments also. What type of adjustments they can have? Like, so you have to calculate, your objective is to calculate the current year expenses only. Like suppose whatever the amount you have paid, that amount you will get in the receipt and payment account. After that, you have to add the expenses outstanding for the current year. Whatever expenses are outstanding for the current year, that will be expense of the current year, you will add it. And whatever expense you have paid last year for the current year, means it was paid in advance last year, that will be also an expense of the current year, so that's why it will also be added. But whatever the amount was outstanding last year, And if we have paid that amount in the current year, that amount will be not be the expense of the current year. It will be the expense of the last year. That's why we will subtract it. And if we have paid some amount in advance for any expense, that will also be not expense of the current year. That's why it will also be deducted. And in this manner, we will again get the expense for the current year, and that we will be written in the expenditure side of the income and expenditure account. Now, some other items like depreciation, obviously you may find some adjustment regarding fixed assets, like if furniture is there. So question may ask you to charge a depreciation on furniture. Question may ask you that, to charge a depreciation on building. Then cost of consumable goods. That topic we have learned in detail yesterday. That if some information is given in the question, how to prepare the creditors account and how to prepare the stock account, and how to determine how much amount of goods is consumed, that will become our expenditure for the current year, and that will be written in the income and expenditure account. Then you may have some profit or loss on the sale of fixed assets also. So whatever the profit or loss you are having, that will also be written in the income and expenditure account. Ultimately, we will be determining the surplus or deficit, like we were calculating profit or loss last year. So if your incomes are more than your expenses, you will get the surplus. And if your expenses are more than your incomes, then it will become deficit. And then afterwards, the same amounts for the closing year will be written in the closing balance sheet. I will again revise them. Like you may get the outstanding for the current year, outstanding subscription for the current year, advance paid for the current year, advance subscription receipt for the current year. So various amounts in the same manner you may find for the current year also. Whatever the assets are existing in the last of this year, that balances will come to the closing balance sheet. Whatever the closing stock of consumable items is there, that will come to the closing balance sheet. Closing balance of cash and bank will come to the closing balance sheet. So this way, all the closing balances will be written in the closing balance sheet, and you will prepare that. So this is the whole process. Now see this question. From the following items of receipt and payment account of Young Club, prepare income and expenditure account for the year ended 31st March 2020. So this time you have not given receipt and payment account, you are given some informations. You have to classify them into your expenses and incomes, and only income and expenditure account is asked. You are not supposed to prepare the balance sheet. So first we will write the name of the club, then we will write the title of the format, that is income and expenditure account. So salary paid, electricity expenses, printing and stationery, subscription received, net proceeds from refreshment room, miscellaneous expenses. So lot of information is given, simple informations are given, and additional information you have been given some adjustments. Now we will prepare income and expenditure account. So we have written the name of the club, we have written the name of the format, and for the year 31st March 2020, we are preparing it for the year ended March 31st 2020. Now here we will write incomes, and in this side we will write the expenditures. Now first expenditure is given here, salaries paid. So this is an expenditure, so we will write 2 salaries, and the amount is 5 lakh. Then second is electricity expenses. Because these are not having any adjustments, so we will write them directly. Electricity expenses 50,000. Then printing and stationery, and it is written specifically here, including rupees 5,000 for previous year. So whatever the amount you have paid for the previous year, that will be deducted from there. We will show it in adjustments manner. Two, now this 5,000 will become the opening balance of outstanding printing and stationery. So that will, if you are preparing the opening balance sheet, this amount will go to the opening balance sheet also. To printing and stationery, and the amount is 35,000. Out of that, we will subtract outstanding for last year. So whatever amount was outstanding for last year was 5,000. So this amount will become 30,000. Then miscellaneous expenses, subscription received, including rupees 20,000 received in advance and rupees 50,000 for the previous year. So received for 2018-19, this amount is 50,000. And the received amount is how much? Received amount is 4 lakh. So in 4 lakh, we will deduct the 50,000. Then this saying rupees 20,000 received in advance. So this amount we will also deduct here 20,000. So it will become here 3,50,000 and it will come 3,30,000. Now some information is given here also. 31st March 2020 areas 80,000. So it is outstanding for current year. So outstanding for current year is 80,000. So that way it will be added. And this information is not there, so we will remove this information. So it will become 4,10,000. Because we are not preparing balance sheet in this question, so that's why I'm not doing adjustments at the second place. Okay. So subscription is over. The net proceeds from refreshment room 1 lakh. Sorry, 4,50,000. So this is also an income. Net proceeds means all the expenses have been deducted by net proceeds from refreshment room 4,50,000. Then miscellaneous expenses 1,60,000. To miscellaneous expenses 1,60,000. Then interest paid on loan for half year. So to interest, because you are paying, so it will become your expense. And for half year amount is given 12,000. So rest of the half year amount will become outstanding. That is also written in the adjustments. And that's why we will double it. We will add the outstanding one. Outstanding. And it will become 24,000. $50,000 for the previous year. It is not advance. We have received 20,000 advance that we have deducted because it is advance, and 50,000 for the previous year. That's why we have deducted it here. Now I hope it is clear. Okay, so interest is also done. Then next one is what? Next one is this one, rent and rates, including 10,000 prepaid. So prepaid will not be treated as expense to rent and taxes. Sorry, rates. Rent and rates. It is 75,000. Each and every adjustment should be presented in a proper manner. Last year you have learned these all things. Prepaid. $10,000. So the balance will be 65,000. Lockers rent received. So lockers rent received will be your income by lockers rent received, and it will be 45,000. So this way we have recorded all the incomes and all the expenses. Let me properly align them first. Presentation needs a lot of practice, and it will come only with the help of practice only. Now we will calculate here surplus, and here we will write to surplus if the income side is greater than the expense side. Excess of income over expenditure. Now we will first total this side. It will become 410, 460, 860, 9,05,000. Now we will write this total here, 9,05,000. And the total should always be double underlined. And out of this total, we will subtract these all things. So it will be 0, then 0, 0, then it will be 0, then 0, 0. So it will also be 0. Then 0, 4, 5, 9, 9 plus 6, 15. Then 6, 3, 9, 6, 15 to 17, 6, 23, 23 plus 7, it will become 33 plus 5, 8, 1, 9. So the surplus will be 76,000. So in this manner, we have calculated and we have prepared the income and expenditure account. So I hope this process is clear now.